Welcome to Two Deep, a Sons of Saturday podcast. You'll notice I didn't say under the influence because I'm solo tonight. There's no beer. This is a quick notes show and camp update. So make sure to like the video and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. And of course, if you don't follow us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts yet, please do that as well. Those follows definitely help us out. A couple quick housekeeping things before I get to the ACC preseason poll. Saturday in the South, our event at Park Tavern in Atlanta the day before the game. We're going to be watching football, listening to live music. You can find out all the details and get your tickets at sonsofsaturday.com. The details are there. The details are on Instagram, on X, everywhere else. We are also announcing a new event, the Sons of Saturday kickoff tailgate before the game at Der Beer Garden or Der Beer Garden. I'm not sure exactly how you pronounce it, but Mahul and Techstream are putting together this awesome tailgate. It's right near the stadium. All the information and tickets will be out tomorrow. In fact, the information's out today. It's all you can drink, all you can eat, but tickets go on sale 8/5. So if you need a place to go before the game in Atlanta, you're going to want to meet us at the beer garden. So stay tuned for that. How to get tickets and everything is already online. Go to the Suns page on X. Go to Instagram on our website. There will be information. And of course, we still have hotels available at a good rate in Atlanta. That information is at sonsofsaturday.com. All right, let's get to the fun stuff. I'm going to add the ACC preseason poll to the screen. All right, take a look here. Our boys, Virginia Tech, coming in at number 11 here, a little bit lower than I would have expected. On the Suns poll that Sam and I kind of put together on our end, and we had a bunch of people vote at the Suns, we came in 8th. Now, of course, there's some home cooking potentially with the Sons of Saturday poll, but still 9th or 10th, I still feel like would be a little bit more fair than 11th. We are just above Syracuse, who lost everything, above BC, who you don't know what you're going to get, UVA, Cal, who's doesn't have any offensive players back, and Wake Forest and Stanford. So it's tough. We are barely ahead of all these teams that no one's expecting a lot of, and no one's expecting a lot of the Hokies either, except for one voter. You will see those parentheses next to our 1,412 votes. One voter put us at number 1 to win the conference. I find that very funny. Now, I had the guys 7th. I was far from having them number 1. I don't know if that was Kevin Drones, Kyron's dad, or another player's parent, or some ACC media person that just loves the Hokies, but that one spot is a little bit funny. Now, in the one spot overall, you'll see Clemson. They're the heavy favorite this year. Right behind them is Miami, SMU, Georgia Tech, Louisville, and then Duke at 6. And then once it gets to 7 to 11, I feel like you could mix up all of those teams any which way. And I'm hoping VT ends up on the 7 side of that rather than on the 11. But Clemson being number 1, no surprise. Miami number 2, also really no surprise. SMU, Georgia Tech, Louisville, you could kind of go any which way you want with those 3. I think a lot of people have hope for Miller Moss at Louisville, Haynes King, and a lot of people coming back for what's proven to be a pretty good coach in Brent Key. And then Rhett Lashley had SMU rolling last year. Kevin Jennings is back. Them being in the top 3 makes a lot of sense as they were runners-up just last season. But one thing I remembered when I saw this poll was, oh yeah, clearly Clemson should be the number 1 team. You know who was clearly the number 1 team that everyone thought last year? Florida State. And they fell flat on their face. It flatter and harder on their face than just about any team ever has after a previous undefeated regular season and ACC title. So anything can happen, but this is prediction season. I agree with the Clemson number 1 prediction. I agree with the Miami number 2 prediction. And like I said, for me personally, I had Tech at number 7. They come at 11 on the preseason poll. Us being the number 1 for that one voter, though, it's just objectively not a wise pick. I looked at the odds today. There's a reason we are plus 5,000 to win the conference. So I appreciate whoever put in that first place vote, but more than anything else, I just find it funny. If you look at the preseason all ACC team that's also on your screen, it's a lot of Clemson. I mean, it's Cade Klubnik, Antonio Williams, Bryant Westco, Blake Miller, a couple other offensive linemen. We got TJ Parker. We got Wade Woodaz, Sammy Brown, Avion Terrell. So many Clemson Tigers on this thing. No Hokies. I see a couple Miami Hurricanes. We've got Maui Noah. We've got Ruben Bain back on this list after some injury issues last year. But yeah, Clemson, if you look on the left side of your screen and look at the poll, yeah, it makes sense that they would be number one when you see all of these preseason all ACC guys. They brought back a lot of production, and it's showing in the preseason markets and in the polls. The ODU series for our next news and note has been adjusted. Now, we have canceled the games in Norfolk. Let me add this to the screen. This is from Brett McMurphy. We mutually agreed to renegotiate the home and home series with ODU. We canceled games at ODU in 27, 29, and 31, and then at Virginia Tech in 2028, but they will come to Blacksburg in 25, 26, and 2030. Long story short, the nightmare is over. We don't have to go back to Norfolk after losing there a couple times. And this is great. And this is exactly what a lot of our fans wanted. It's what I wanted. And some of the commentary on this has been, you couldn't take losing. You're scared to lose to ODU. Don't get me wrong. Part of this is due to us sucking. The reason I have a problem with this is because we haven't been good. And we go there and we've lost 2 out of the 3 times we've done it. If we didn't suck and we took care of our business, me and a lot of other people wouldn't have nearly as big a problem with the ODU series. But the fact of the matter is, 2018 and 2022 were perhaps the worst 2 seasons for Virginia Tech football in the last 32 years. Since 1993, when the bowl streak started, to now, 2022, bar none, the worst year. Worst win total, worst talent on the team. First year for Coach Pry. First game for Coach Pry was at ODU, and we snapped a ball over the kicker's head. We ended up losing the game. 2018, that defense was atrocious. The team chemistry was awful. We were on our second string quarterback by the end of that game, which was Ryan Willis. Bad year. So, yes, credit to ODU. They beat us 2 out of the 3 times we went to Norfolk. I can't hide from it. I'm not it's not that I can't take the losing. I've taken the losing. The losing blows, but we can take it. Am I scared to lose? Is that why we're getting rid of the series? Yeah. Yeah, I am scared of increasing the probability of a loss by playing a G5 team on the road. We've done it twice in the past 3 years because I'm not even going back to 2018. We lost to ODU and we lost to Marshall just 2 seasons ago in 2023. Big boy schools that have an opinion of themselves that they should be a football school, don't go play G5 teams on the road. They do it very, very rarely or not at all. And when they do, bad things happen. Think back to just a couple years ago. Alabama went to USF. Do people remember that game? They played terrible. At halftime, the score was very close. They only scored 17 points. That was the year Alabama went to the playoff in Nick Saban's last season. And they had an awful game at USF. That was a really good Bama team. Struggled on the road at a G5. Texas Tech went to Wyoming 2 years ago. Lost. Vandy went to Georgia State just last year. The same year they beat us and they beat Bama. They lost to Georgia State on the road. When you go to G5 teams on the road at a conference, bad things happen. And so, yes, I don't want to increase the probability of a loss because it does a lot of different damage. And I'll get to some of the other things of that in a second. But the ACC essentially made a mandate to get rid of these games because they are so dangerous and can do so much damage to the brand of the conference. And for teams like ODU and ECU, who are regional rivals for Virginia Tech, regional rivals, however you want to say it. They're in our area. One of them's in our state. So many of their players have been passed over by Virginia Tech in the recruiting process. So when they get a chance to play us, you're going to get 3 times the effort, 3 times the fight. They want to beat us so bad. And if they do, which they have done, the payoff is very great. It raises their profile. And for us, the loss of on the field, it hurts in the near term. And the brand damage in the long term is devastating, in my opinion, and will ultimately cost you more dollars down the road. And no one cares if you beat them. Literally, no one cares. It means nothing to anybody if you beat ODU or ECU or any of these other regional teams. If you're going to play if you want to play a G5 team, pick an out-of-state team, play them at home. You're going to have your odds of winning that game will go through the roof compared to playing one of these regional teams that views you a little bit as a rival and has a lot of players that you didn't recruit. Like it's a bad idea. It was a bad idea to go there. The arguments for it, I never agreed with any of them, but one of them was it helps our recruiting to play in the 757. Does it? We recruited the 757 30 years before ODU even had a program, and we were doing just fine. So now we need to play a game there to better our recruiting? No. And does it help the recruiting when you lose the game? I think it helps ODU's recruiting when you lose the game. It allows our fans to see games on that side of the state. Okay, for what? Like 5,000, 10,000 Hokies max for one day in a shitty stadium that seats 20,000? You get to watch your team getting shit canned by ODU. Was that fun? Was that a boon for the fans to let them see a game on their side of the state? Drive to Blacksburg, go to the places you love, and enjoy your Saturday and your W. We don't need to be playing games in Norfolk, and now we're not. And the biggest reason why we should never do this is because you're giving little brother a chance to raise their profile, as I hinted at. We have the history. We have the money. We have the tradition, the power conference. By playing them every other year on their turf, you're telling everyone that we're equals. And we should not be telling people that we're equals. So don't act like it. Don't play these games, especially a home and home. If you want to play 5-1, maybe I could get behind that. But we're going there every other year. It was ridiculous. So bring them to our house. If they can beat us in our house, fine. You got the best of us, and they can have their day. Lord knows Liberty had it when Fuente, called the timeout. But don't play Liberty, ODU, or JMU at their place until they're a Power 5 school. And the ACC doesn't want you to do it. None of these power conferences want their teams to do this stuff anymore. Not with how many teams are in the power conferences. Because keep in mind, the P4 is bigger than it's ever been because every conference has 16 or 17 or 18 teams in it. So you don't need to play these teams on the road. You just don't need to do it. I will never forgive our athletic department for scheduling this BS. It was short-sighted, perhaps even arrogant to think that we could just go there and win some games when they knew the recruiting was falling off, when we're not what we were under Frank Beamer. Like it was all to save some money. And in the long run, I think it ended up costing us money because by losing to ODU a couple times, losing to Marshall, doing these stupid things, you are losing the casuals. You are losing ticket revenue. You are losing merch revenue, and you are losing brand equity. And that's what this deal got us. So I am so grateful it's over. You know who? You righted the wrong, but you did real wrong with this one. And I'm grateful it's over. Next up on my news and notes, now that that's over, new locker room renovations. A lot of white. They look great. I got to say, they do look great. Waiting on the full Hokies social media release on the locker room so we can see more of them. I have to imagine the team wasn't so happy. And when I say the team, I mean the social team, with Aiden Green putting that out on his Instagram or whatever it was, because that's kind of what gave everyone this sneak peek. But nevertheless, they do look good. And on that social note, though, the social media stuff has been really good lately. I don't know. I think they got some new people in there and the socials have been on fire, but let them have their day with the locker room release. I'm excited to see the full release and what it all has to offer. But what we did see from Aiden Green, I did like. There was an ESPN article that came out at the end of last week that gave VT a shot at the playoffs. It was by Heather Dinich. No Virginia Tech or ACC person's favorite author, but nevertheless, she wrote an article that said 32 teams that can make the playoff. Now, I thought we were done with this after last year, after all that dark horse playoff stuff, but it's back, and we made this 32 team list. We were number 28 with chances to make the playoff. I'm not going to really go through it. I think we all know what the chances are. You got to beat South Carolina. You got to beat Vandy. You got to play well in the ACC, blah, 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 blah. But because of the schedule, because of some opportunities that we have, we made this list of 32 teams that can make the playoffs. So go take a look at it if you're interested. Another article that came out that featured some Hokies, Feldman's Freaks List. There were 3 of our guys on this list. At number 70, we had Cam Seldon, the new Tennessee transfer. It was because of his speed, because of his vertical. He's got a very explosive player. Pry has talked about his speed, so that was cool to see Cam Seldon on there. Number 41 surprised me. This was Donovan Green. And they also talked about his explosiveness. Apparently he has a monster vertical, a monster broad jump, long arms, big hands. And something Sam and I have mentioned is that when healthy, Donovan Green is a dynamite player, like a really dynamite player. The problem is him staying healthy. But with him being at ACC Media Day, with hearing about the rapport between him and Kyron, I am excited about his potential this year. Stay healthy, Donovan. We need wideouts. We need Green and company to be the real deal. And with how Drones has been looking, I'll get to that in a minute. He could have a big season, both him and Seldon. And then finally on the Freaks list was a familiar name, Kamari Copeland, because I believe he made it last year. Number 23, squatted 685 pounds, benched 455 this summer. Absolutely ridiculous. Also hit 20 miles per hour on the GPS and an over 30-inch vertical for a big boy. That's one of our defensive tackles. So Kamari Copeland, the highest on the Freaks list of the Hokies at number 23. JC Price had some kind words for him today too. So I'll get to that. Two Deep is brought to you by Roback. Make sure you guys are using the code 2DEEPVT at roback.com to get 20% off your order. There's something coming from Roback very, very soon. Perhaps even this week. That is a new drop that is sick. And so you're going to want to use code 2DEEPVT to get 20% off your order there. Just stay tuned. Go to roback.com, maybe tomorrow, see what they got. And under the Virginia Tech tab, you might like what you see. 2DEEPVT for 20% off your order. Roback Crave Activity. Some camp notes. Now, Ryan Castle is a new writer for the Sons of Saturday. He put out an article last week on some camp notes. He's got another one coming out either tonight or tomorrow on what happened through the first 4 days of camp. So check out Ryan's article on sonsofsaturday.com. But last week, we got the update that Bass and Brennan Johnson are moving to safety. So that's Jordan Bass, transfer that came over from Pitt, a highly ranked Virginia kid. They're moving him over to safety. And Noah Jenkins is moving to linebacker. So a little bit of a swap around in the defensive backfield. Bass is one of those guys that everyone was excited to get because of the pedigree, because of being an in-state kid. We wanted him the first time around, but this move tells me a little bit that we're probably not going to be seeing too much from Jordan Bass. If they're just moving him to safety now, we just brought in all of those safeties in the portal. We have some young safeties and corners that looked good coming up out of the recruiting class. So I wouldn't expect to see too much of Bass as a contributor on the field this year outside of, Wofford and maybe some of the other games where we have a lead or something. But I just hope that they can find a spot that in 2026, he can be a contributor at that position. Kyron has been looking very sharp early on, according to coach, according to a lot of different people. Smooth. He's a full go. There's no worry about his injury slowing him down. I was very worried about that because in June, when he's in a boot and on a scooter for 6 weeks, that was a little too close for comfort for me, how close it is to the season. But he has been good. Price said they were trying to maybe slow him down or hold him back a bit, but they can't. Kyron he's full speed ahead for QB1, and that is exactly what we want to hear. And he has looked very, very good. Sam and I talked about Noah Chambers on our last show and how he came in at a very playable weight at the linebacker position and how he's got that build to contribute right now. And by all the reports, he's living up to his size and could be a guy that could get on the field this year or next year. Maybe it's a guy you don't use the red shirt on. Hard to say, but right now, Noah Chambers has been looking impressive. As far as what JC Price had to say today, it was the second day in shoulder pads. He likes the depth on the defensive line. He said there's not a guy in the room that can't eventually contribute on this team. So, and he said that he's never really felt that way before. So maybe not every guy's going to contribute this year, but he looks at the guys and he said, oh yeah, all of these guys can play in the power conferences, in the ACC, et cetera. And so that is a good feeling. He really likes the depth. When asked about Kamari's offseason, he kind of laughed like in a giddy way. Like he was so excited to talk about Kamari, and he said his offseason has been great. He shows up early. He stays late. His preparation is as good as anyone he's been around. His motor is impressive. He's a good guy on top of everything else. And that he's starting to lead. And of course, he's great in the weight room and a leader there. And his weight room stuff is like must-see TV. I think that's the way he put it. But the biggest thing I loved is he said Kamari is going to be a dominant player. Those words came out of his mouth. So I know it's coach after a practice, and maybe they caught him in a happy moment at that second. But to hear that Kamari is going to be a dominant player, a good player, whatever, that's nice because he's coming off an injury. We didn't get to see a lot last year. We have a little bit of a proven commodity in Kevin Gilliam, although both of them are going to be trying to make their mark. It's nice to hear the positivity on not only Copeland, but KG too, because he said KG is doing everything right. Leadership has been great between the starting two defensive tackles I just talked about and the starting linebackers. That's something he emphasized. And as far as the defense goes right now, I don't think there's a ton of surprises. We've got Flowers and Reddish at safety. We've got Copeland and Gilliam on the inside, Keller and Woodson at linebacker. Like they've been looking good. So one interesting thing JC also said, the install has been going really good on defense. He's not worried at all about the defensive install. They've already seen things 4 and 5 times at this point because of all the stuff they're allowed to do over the summer. So that made me feel better. He talked just a little bit about Clatterball and how he's moving to a line position, to an edge position. He says it's early, but he's strong and physical as hell. So that's nice to hear about Brett Clatterball. And if you didn't see what Brett posted on his Instagram, the dude looks like a grown man. Like some of those pictures, it looks like a 42-year-old construction worker who smokes Marb Reds. That's how I said it to the guys in the chat. Like he looks like a freaking man with the mohawk and everything else. So Brett Clatterball down the road will be a contributor for this team, I would imagine, on the defensive line. Asen Stevens, a better job at playing with his hands, more polished, and his role will increase. And he said Burgos is just a steady Eddie right now. It's the best offseason that Burgos has had, but he can still improve. So that's an update from him and the defensive line. A little bit about Ben Bell and Jonkum and how they were well coached before they got here. He likes coaching both of those guys. And he said that Arius Nash should find a niche on the team. So that was the summary from them. Kamari and Benji Gosnell both spoke after practice too. And if you haven't heard Benji before, he's been on our show. He's done some interviews. I think right before the bowl game, he did an interview after practice. You got to listen to Benji Gosnell. That guy is a ball of positivity. I love him. And Kamari sounded like he was ready to have a big season. So that's exciting there. My final news and note from this is not football related. It is Neo, our Greek freak. Neo Abdalis is here. He is in Blacksburg. And there was a little bit of nerves going around on the boards because maybe a month or two back after he committed, there was an issue with his visa. Would he get it in time? He's here. He is in Blacksburg. He's got 3 months before basketball season starts to get to know the team, start working in with those guys. And I am so excited to see what Mike Young has in store on his revenge tour, which will be 25-26, because he was not happy with how last year played out. And I can't really blame him. This year, we bring a lot of talent in, and just like football season, I'm gearing up for that. I am excited for this basketball season, maybe more than I have been in a while because of the talent we have. So make sure you're liking the video and subscribing. Make sure to follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. But like I said, this was a short one. Me and Sam are doing our ACC Opponent Preview in 2 days. It's going to be Wednesday night. We're going to record that, probably post it late Wednesday, early Thursday. But all the ACC teams we play this year, we're going to be diving deep, telling you how Tech matches up and all the rest of that. But until then, make sure you're checking out our merch. You can go to the southwestvashop.com. It's the swvashop.com. Just type in Two Deep when you go there, and our hoodies and our t-shirts will pop right up. You can grab that sweet Virginia logo that I have on right now. Can't really see it over my mic, but there you go. And until next time, when I'm giving you that update on all the ACC teams with Sam, having some beers too. Go Hokies.